Hello, everyone. My name's Hank Setala,
And I'm Dr. K.
and we're here with another episode of Holistic Highlights. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for watching. And this is very timely with all the chaos in the world and the elections coming up. We thought it was a great time to have a topic on dealing with global chaos. I think it was actually your idea, Dr. K.
It was. And
So
we are
we're good.
flip-flopped, and Hank is in the woods today.
I am in the woods. It's just a green screen. I'm just playing around with a new toy. I also got a new microphone and I got a new camera, so it's like a whole, streaming overhaul that I'm
Look
doing
at
here.
that.
Yeah. Oh, I got to make my Facebook stream public real quick before I forget. But if you have questions, if there's things coming up in your world, if you find yourself really just taken aback by certain things and not others, mention in the comments. We'd love to speak specifically to some of the things you're experiencing and offer some insights, tips, and tricks on how to work through that and things you can do to not be overwhelmed.
Absolutely. And while Hank's getting all those little things corrected there, I think what I really
Oh, you
I've had
are you?
clients that have come to me. Oh, oh,
I think your
there I
internet's
am.
lagging, or it's
Is it
me.
there?
Very odd.
I
Got
don't know
tech
what's
issues
happening.
today. Okay, so
So,
what entities are trying to stop us from talking about global chaos that like the chaos and don't want everybody to be free from the chaos? We destroy and not create them times a godzillion. Right, wrong,
thank
good and bad,
you.
pot and pock, all night charts, boys and beyonds, 5911. Yeah, because really, like, that's one thing to be said. Like, as I have to still correct this, like, how much chaos is feeding, like, entities around us, right? So, like, that's just one thing. Like, one reason to really want to take a moment to develop your peace and calm is you don't want to feed, like, the entities that might feed off the chaos. So, that's a whole
Thank you
nother
that you
sub.
just said that because that came through really loud and clear. They're like, oh, yeah, we can't have people peaceful. We like this. This is fun.
Right.
This is
Yeah, that's
playtime.
why they're like, let's mess up the stream because we don't want people to have peace and calm. We don't like that at all. But now we 5911 them, so it's all good.
That just agitated. Let's agitate them.
Oh, that's not it. It's clearing them.
Well, they tried. But people are like, is there something in the air? And I'm like, well, yeah, there kind of is. Um, I personally did not watch the get into that. I hear it from everybody else. But I think one of the biggest things that I want people to gain awareness of is there is something much bigger and much greater that runs this planet and things around you than Trump and Biden and everybody else, all the way down to your mayor. Okay. So the world will continue to function. Nature will continue to function, whether Biden is president, whether Trump is president, whether Pence is vice president, whether Kamala Harris is vice president. It doesn't matter. Things will continue. And we have to just be in that awareness that there is something much greater that's running all of those guys too.
Right.
So there's layers to this.
It reminds me, for those of you who don't know, I'm like 12 years sober from alcohol and whatnot. And one of the things that they would always say in the program is when you were in a bad mood or something bad was going on, they'd be like, this too shall pass, this too shall pass. And then when something was really good going on and I was telling my sponsor about it, he's like, this too shall pass. And his point was that no matter what's good happening in your life or what's bad happening in life will continue. You survive it and you move on. But the question is, while you are moving through everything, what would it take for you to start thriving instead of just surviving? Because experiences are going to happen and we have the choice of how we internalize it and respond to it or react to it. And reaction is more the times where it's going to be not as pleasant of an experience, but when you're responding to it, you're in a way more conscious space than when you're reacting. And he's commenting early this time. Mark is checking in. He's like, never fear, I am here. He's our resident comedian, for those of you who don't know. He always has some fun little contributions for us. Strangely quiet the last couple times. I don't know.
Relationships was an interesting, interesting convo for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a 4-part series. You can check out the YouTube channel, go back. There's a 4-part relationship series. The first 2 is just Dr. K and I, and the third and fourth part with Jake Cunningham, who had a lot of great information to share on stereotypes, generalizations that you can use to help yourself create more in your relationship than without them. So go back and definitely check those out. But back to our current topic, global chaos.
Yeah, so that's the one thing that just sit and ponder that. Really, like if we didn't have a president, the world would continue to go on. The trees are going to continue to grow. The rain will continue to happen. We create so much of this in our heads. And what I saw so much after the debates, and I even did a little live video on my Facebook page, so you can always go back and listen to that, on diving into the drama and the trauma and the anger and whatever emotions you want to pull out, the bashing that was going on Facebook. I couldn't even take it. Like after the elections, we all have our opinions on who we want to be president, and that's okay. Let everybody have their opinions. And it was fascinating. Even I'm on a little app. I don't know how many of you have it. It's called Nextdoor. It's kind of like it's a platform for I lost my pet, or my pet's lost, or there's been a burglary, just to let your neighbors be aware. And what I found is there was a neighbor that went on and started saying, I hope all of you vote for Biden because you guys have no, and I'm like, okay. And then there was a whole stream of anger that came out of that, because then people were replying with, this is not the platform for this. Then those people started bashing those people. And I'm like, guys, this is, you're creating a funnel, and when you dive into that, you're creating a cloud around your head of really negative thought forms. And enough negative thought forms will create almost I'm going to call it an entity. It creates like a
It
thick
does.
field, and it becomes real. And so then not only that, you are feeding your own anger, you're feeding somebody else's anger. And like we talked about, I think a few streams ago, anger breaks things in the body. What do I mean by that? Like, are you going to break? It's possible. You could break an ankle. Mostly you start getting sick. It's going to harden your blood vessels. It's a scientific fact. The more anger you carry, how do you feel when you have anger, or when you feel like you need to prove a point, or you feel passionate about something but in the wrong way? You carry that anger and you feel tense, don't you? Don't your muscles tense
Mhm.
up? How do you feel? Check that in your body. You feel that tenseness for a long period of time. What do you think is going to happen? There is a biochemical physical reaction. Your cells are responding to this. Your catecholamines are being emitted. You're in a fight or flight. Your adrenals get overpowered. And it's no shocker that something starts to happen over a long period of time. Your body can't sustain that. And there's people that I know can't even be around. Like, I personally don't like to be around that. I will walk away. So I didn't even watch, but I'm finding a lot of people seem to like the drama and trauma of dealing with this whole elections. And it's an awareness thing, because I'm hearing even a lot from my clients, how many people around them or their family members are so unaware, just not in that state of, this is interesting. They will dive into this and just make it this big thing in their heads, when there's so much more to life. This is minute. It's minute in our grand scheme of life. And so that's kind of what we wanted to shed light on today. So
Absolutely. I had a thought and then it just like slipped away.
happens here.
It does happen. Where was I going to go with that? I don't know. It will come back, I think. But if you have questions or comments, if you have something in particular you're needing assistance with, please make the comment or whatnot. But I think one of the big things is like a tool from Axis that we use to start taking the charge off of trauma and drama, is to say, that's an interesting point of view. And when somebody has a different point of view than you, then you can say, interesting point of view that they have that point of view. And really from a place of neutrality, like, wow, that's interesting. If it's disagreement, saying, wow, you're right, or wow, you're wrong, either one of those locks you into duality. But wow, that's interesting is a place of neutrality where you can be aware of somebody else's opinion and then just choose differently, instead of getting into that conflict of needing to be right over someone else. And it really frees you up to go about your day and not have that trauma and drama really impacting you and your energy field and whatnot.
Dealing with the need to be right. So I'll touch on that, because we all have this. This will keep you
I
back.
don't.
You do.
No, I'm kidding. I
Hank
was
is
giving an
special.
example. I was giving an example. I need to be right by saying no, I don't.
I have the need to be right that I don't have the need to be right.
Right.
We all have it to some greater or lesser degree. It happens in our lives. It's like, no, 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 this person needs to understand that this is this way. No, no, no. They need to get that this is how it's supposed to be. And I'm gonna make sure that they get that. When you start doing that, and you'll feel that, you'll know when you really need to get your point across. And I've done this. I was on this. I caught myself because I was on this when the whole mask thing started. I was like, no, people don't understand. And I'm like, no, you need to go in and just drop your information and then that's it, and let people have whatever opinion they want. But you get into this need to write, it will create issues with your health, believe it or not. It will create a situation where you will repel prosperity. It will repel things from you, meaning whatever you kind of want to bring into your life, you're going to have a tougher time doing that when you're in this strong, strong need to be right. And so that's something you want to catch yourself doing, because there's a huge need to be right now, especially even with the candidates. Like I heard it was pretty comical that they just absolutely, imagine what it would be like if they didn't have the need to be right and just stated their points, period, and nobody bashed anybody for, you're wrong, I never did that. I heard at one point was it Trump that told Biden to shut up, or was it Biden that told Trump to shut up? One of the
Oh,
two.
I think it was that was in the first debate. I didn't watch anything with the second one at all. But I think it was mine who's like, "Should we shut up, man?" or something like that.
Yeah,
There were
yeah, I heard
the
that.
next day you see
Yeah.
T-shirts already out there like, "Will you shut up, man?" Or but they monetize things so rapidly. No matter which candidate there is, if there's like an opportunity to monetize, like the fly on
Yes.
like the next day there was like fly swatters being sold. It's like this is crazy. Like the littlest thing gets monetized, and it's just kind of sad what it goes through.
People buy in so quickly. So I think what I would love, and I hope Hank agrees, that both of our goals here really is to bring greater awareness to the planet. Raise your awareness that this is only one level and there's a whole other level. Like, you know, whatever your religious denomination is, I'm not gonna, go there on that, whether you're Christian, Catholic, can we all agree that there is something much larger that's navigating this, and that there is a higher good and things do turn out for the best. And there may be a battle between evil and good. These things still, it's still a yin yang. These things exist. And so, but trust that there is something greater. Can we agree that there's something greater that's overseeing this whole process? So take the pressure off yourself, take the stress off yourself of trying to prove to somebody else that Biden is right, Trump is right, Kamala Harris is right, Pence is right, down to your mayor. Like, I think DeWine's on for another year. I don't think he's up for change this year. I don't know that he'll get reelected because a lot of people hate his cuts too, but just be an observer. I mean, that's as best as I can, and that may be challenging for a lot of people, but we're here to help you gain that start. Like, just go, okay, where could I just let off stress on my body and just allow people to just have their opinion? And what happens, just trust it, because you still have your world around you and you can influence your world around you much greater than you can by continuously being in the need to be right. I hate to
Right.
tell you guys, but like Hank and I, as two people, are not going to, well, we could maybe, I don't, everything's possible, but change the whole entire world or change America. So, yes, your vote counts. Please don't discredit that. But if your if your focus in your mind is like a horse with the blinders, that they wear, and you're like, no, I'm going to prove that Trump needs to, you're not going to change the reality of that. You're not going to change the reality of the planet. You're not going to make the planet a better place. So reach higher above that, say a prayer, whatever your denomination is, that the right candidate gets chosen. And I'm just going to say this because it's coming through, but I was hesitating whether to say or not.
Oh.
The individuals I believe Trump is being used as a vessel, and I know this is out there, but there's a higher power that is going to use him. I say use with a grain of salt, but there's an energy that's running through him, and they will direct him. they, whoever our higher power is, whether it's God, whatever you want to believe in, but there is something that's going to run an energy through him to help the planet become a better place, or Biden or whatever. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not going to get into my opinion on it, but there's an energy force that is higher, and we are all connected to. So this is the challenging piece to. I have a challenge with it sometimes, to understand that we are a collective consciousness, right, Hank? So it's like
Yep.
we are all one. We've all been in different energies. So this is really what I want to teach more, and just understand that you have a soul. And it's like, this is just a body. And when we incarnate, I should have a little, like a mitt, a little Cookie Monster mitt. So we go in, it's like a puppet. We're really just a puppet. The soul uses the body as a vehicle to do things in life. And so we have to understand that we are all in energy. We all came from that and incarnated into this body that we have at this moment, just like Trump incarnated, just like Biden incarnated. What their energy source is, well, we don't know that, whether it's a good, maybe not so good, but there's all these things that are running, and we so forget that we have a soul inside us. So why feed it anger, feed it joy, and change the planet, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And energy flows where your attention goes. So if you want to focus on the trauma and drama, what are you telling to the universe? Hey, universe, this is important to me. I'm focusing on it. But if you focus on things that bring lightness and joy to your life, what are you telling the universe? And so, it's really about being as aware as you can be in every single moment, and always choosing out of that awareness instead of reacting out of unconsciousness and things of that nature. And the more you can do it, the faster and faster things will shift. And the greatest thing to start doing change in the world is for everybody to be in the state of allowance. You're not aligning and agreeing with or resisting, reacting to whatever your perception is, no matter who's president, no matter what country you're in, no matter what scenarios life is presenting you with. The state of allowance is where you just allow it to be. That doesn't mean you have to prefer it, which is a different thing. Like, someone might say, well, should I be an allowance of someone who's robbing me? Right. Well, you're an allowance if that's the place that they're in, but you can also choose to defend yourself, or you could choose to run away. That's a choice, but it's not in reactionary to them. That's like, okay, I'm an allowance that, yeah, they're a robber, and I'm going to choose this over here. It's a whole different energy than being in that teke, we call it in shamanism, that energetic fight with someone. Because with you're an allowance, now you've created a space for a different possibility instead of feeding into each other.
Yeah. And I have a wonderful little line, universal lesson. When you're in a state of joy, you leave a positive imprint on every being in the world. So, joy is like, when you're in that state of allowance and joy and peace, you send a ripple effect through the planet. So if we could all do that, it's pretty cool what could happen. A lot of people aren't quite at that space, especially right now. So what can we do to shift your perspective? I'm not here to necessarily change anything. It's just being the observer and watching this whole thing like a movie. I think I'd have gotten to that point. I'm in a pretty high state of awareness. I have my days, but for the most part, I have gotten to that state. And I can tell you, it took quite a bit of work. I no longer dive into people's stuff quite as
Right.
much. There's days, but
And when we do have those slip up with those days, you notice them, and then you consciously make adjustments to get yourself out of it. So when we do have those days, you can get out of that pretty quickly. I got to throw Mark's comment up here. He says, I want my soul to find me a new body pronto. Well, what would it take for you to have a different experience with your body now? Like, there's the same energy of how to deal with global chaos. It's to be able to be in that question, what could I be and do that would create the greatest possibility for myself and those around me now? Because now, not only are you being self-first, advocating for yourself, you're also making choices that are advocating for the totality of humankind. But what kind of world would we be in if we actually embraced that kind of concept, where we were being self-first, not at someone else's expense, but also making choices that are for the betterment of all?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to be the direct doctor
The
for the
direct doctor.
moment. Yeah, because I'm pretty direct.
I
I've
like that.
softened that. I'm trained that way. But Mark, you know exactly what you need to do. What's holding you back from doing it?
Yeah.
You know what you need to do. So You can get to all those spaces that you have mentioned. Some are comical, I know, jokesters, and some are not. You want to get to your destination. It's like you see that coffee shop down the road. Well, you either got to take your bike there, you got to get on your bike, you got to get in your car, you got to walk, choose your vehicle, and, but start taking those steps no matter what they are. That's my little direct.
Sorry about that. I did have my phone on silent. You probably could hear it pretty well with the new microphone. I don't know.
I can.
Yeah, it's like, wow, that's
The
really
entities, they're there to like distract you again.
okay.
Yeah, vote for Dr. K. Well, I know
Yeah,
nothing about
I
politics, but
I
hey,
had to
I'll give
agree
it a
with this.
whirl.
Vote for Dr. K for president and Hank for vice president. I love it.
That would be kind of a cool. Hey, Hank, we could make a pretty cool world, I think. I just
Yeah, that
saw
would be
that.
neat.
That was kind of cool. Like, oh wait, that would be a world of possibility.
It
Yeah.
would be a world of possibility. I don't even want to know what they would dig up at me from my drinking days when the whole mudslinging campaign started. I'm like, oh, here's
That
a
would be
picture.
plastered. Hank with a joint or something.
No, well, I don't think that ever happened. I don't know when I blacked out. I don't know for sure what occurred, but I don't think so. But
Well,
maybe.
the
I
most
don't
they'd
know.
get on me is let's see. I tried some menthol cigarettes. Those didn't go so well. I didn't like them, so thank God I didn't pick up smoking. But um but yeah, so people need so much awareness right now, and just being in a state of allowance, and just trust that there's something else higher directing this. There is something else higher directing this. And I'm thinking multiple people have said the saying, God does nothing and leaves nothing undone. So it's a total state of allowance where, God's not going to tell you what to do. It's you, there's a love that's just ever permeating, and whatever you choose, yes, I'm sure the energy steps in there and for the higher and greater good. But God allows everything. Oh God.
No, I said
Jake would
Jake
like
has.
that.
Yeah, that would be good.
Jake's
We'll have a
Jake
nice
likes
little cabinet.
he likes to talk. He's really good at it. He can be like the advisor. He could be like that little button in Biden's ear, because we get they tell them what to say. Say this. So it's funny. So, if you're feeling really stressed, I don't know who here is really feeling stressed about the election or the state of the world or where it's going. No, you can control everything around you. And as you start to grow, as you change yourself, you're going to change all the people around you. Those people are going to start changing. Then as they start changing, they're going to change people around them. And then the whole planet starts changing. So, and doing good meditations right now to send the best thing you can do, guys, really is send loving kindness to the whole planet, that no matter who wins, that they are directed in the right way. That's the biggest thing you can do right now. So rise above the clouds, like when you're on a plane and you're looking down, be that person above that's looking down on the plane, looking at the planet and just being like, man, look at the little rugrats running down there like crazies. Let's just help them out. Let's just, give them some love and light, that the right person is elected, and that the right thing happens, and that the planet changes, in the way that it needs to. That's
What
the
choice
best
could
thing you can
we
do.
and our country make that would create the greatest possibility for all the world and mankind and people kind, we should say? And Mark has a somewhat serious question for a change. How do you both try to send vibes of ease and love? Is there something in particular you do when you say you send vibes of ease and love? Is there anything you do in particular? And then I can talk about some of the things that I do.
Very
Or I
simple.
can,
I have a very simple technique for that. You just take your hands like this, you close your eyes, and you picture the planet. You picture your loved ones, you picture your brothers, sisters, co-workers, whoever you want in here too, as well as the planet. And you picture golden light coming, or pink golden light coming from your hands. And you just picture the earth. That's it. That's all you got to do. And blessings to the earth. And you can just think those thoughts. May the highest and best come to the earth. That's all you have to do. That's enough to start running energy through your body from up above through and on. I know that sounds like, oh, that's not going to change the world. Yes, it will. Your intention is so, so powerful. And I'll give you a stupid example of this. Like, I have been trying to get, Hank knows, I've been trying to get a loan, like for another business loan. And yesterday I decided I'm just going to try this. I ran around the house saying, I am approved for XYZ loan. I am approved for XYZ. I am approved for XYZ. And I started feeling that in my body. Guess what happened? I got approved. You know how long I've been trying because I have been building this business and I was just like up against a wall. I'm like, screw it. I'm going to just back off because, you know, when there's too many inquiries, it just becomes tricky and then they won't do it. And yesterday I'm like, I'm just going to give this a whirl. I'm going to give this the energy, and boom, it worked. So your intention is so powerful. It's that simple. But if you don't have a clear-cut energy with it, and you can say something or you do this and you're like, I really hate the plan, I really hate Trump. That's not what you want to do. Just really
Well, that, and there's
feel
a
love.
little energetic law of the universe: what you resist persists. So if you
Yeah.
would like something to change, or you have a preference for something different, find yourself with whatever it is that you have resistance to, find yourself grateful. Like, I'm still grateful for fill in the blank of your
Yep.
greatest enemy or whatever it is. And if you can truly step into the place of being grateful for, because really think about it, has good come of this whole thing? There's been unification like never before in certain things. So there has definitely been some benefits, like bringing people together and waking people up. The contagion of consciousness has been spread because of a lot of things that have occurred over the last couple of years. So could you find one thing to hang your hat on? You say it all the time, find one thing to be grateful for, right?
Yeah.
So if you find yourself in resistance, find one thing to be grateful for, and then shift your energy for what you would like to choose, but not in opposition of the other thing, just in gratitude for the other thing, and then in declaring to the universe what you would prefer to be showing up in your life.
Yep. The quickest way to get yourself out of any nasty emotion that doesn't feel comfortable is gratitude. Is the highest vibrating emotion that they have studied. There's various levels. Did we pull up a chart? We don't have to do that now. Maybe we'll do that next session. But a chart of hertz that they've measured from high to low. I think shame and guilt are at the very bottom, and gratitude and love are at the very top. The quickest way so it's kind of like a radio, you know, when you're dialing in and it's like, and you can't quite get it dialed in. These are the different levels of emotions of hertz that they've measured. Gratitude is at the top of the list. Gratitude and love are at the top of the list. I believe shame and guilt are at the bottom, lowest vibrating emotion. So the quickest way to get yourself out of something that feels uncomfortable is find one thing to be grateful for. There's got to be one thing in your life, whether it's super small or big, you have a house or there's just some tiny thing you really love, hand on heart, and I am so grateful. I am so grateful for XYZ, fill in the blank.
Absolutely.
That changes you right away.
You know, one thing we could do too with the whole process that you just mentioned, we could schedule like a stream where we just have people come out and walk them through like doing that exercise and be proactive in getting a group consciousness going around it, because that's where things really start to shift. Like even the Bible would say, like when one or more people gather, right? Yeah. So like when you start to create this collective consciousness, we were just talking about this on our shaman class last night with my teacher, that there's like this one technique called hump by moonlight, which is like Munai is like a combination of will and love together. And in this one thing, you can do it on your own, but it's really effective when you have a group of Pacos or a group of people or shamans that are all intending this one particular energy at the same time. And that's where like miracles shift and happen, because you're relying on other people where you might have a limiting point of view around one thing. Maybe 3 other people in the group don't have that, and the combination of the group surpasses those limitations. So there's really something to be said about group consciousness and stuff like that.
There's many, you know, healing organizations that talk about this, that when so many people meditate at one time, it starts to shift the planet. Mm-hmm. So whatever we can do collectively at a certain time, you know, is really, it's going to create huge impacts. And yes, when it's a very simple example of if somebody prays for you, like you're praying for your condition, whatever your family's condition, when multiple people start praying, miracles start happening. So miracles are all around us. We just don't notice half of the time. But when you bring in more people, the miracle mind shift change happens much more quickly. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. And there's a book called The Maharishi Effect that goes over a lot of those examples, like where monks were brought in and they were meditating in a city, and there's a correlation between when they brought the monks in and a reduction in crime. And this so like different fact. Different things like that. And then they talk about the 100th monkey effect, which this is the other part about doing group things, if you worry about I don't want to use the word worry, if you're consciously becoming aware. And by your actions, you're causing your little circle of people to become aware. And then those people let their little circle become more aware. They say that when a certain percentage of the population, I think just like 1%, reaches a certain threshold, that awareness jumps to the rest of the population. They had this done with like monkeys on islands that were learned how to wash fruit, right? When one group of monkeys figured it out on one island, the whole species in other islands just started doing it without being shown. And it was just one example. And there was another one with mice in a water maze. Ones in England learned it, and then ones in the States went through the first time without having to learn it. So there's something to be said that if we can just impact our own local environments and groups, that can have an exponential effect on the world. So can you change the world? Yes, if you are authentic with being aware and spread that contagion of consciousness, it can have this ripple effect that can go out to the world and beyond. Really, it's not a pipe dream. This is like real things that we can do if we choose it.
And there's people that I know that have really fixated on, I'm trying to think, it never really happened to me though. I tried, but I know people that have been like at the airport and their plane is late, and then they intentionally send a lot of intention on getting that plane to be on time, getting to their next destination on time, stop it. Like sometimes, the rain, you're delayed because of the rain.
I've done this with my wife because she would be like really late leaving or something. And like we'd be going and I'm like, there's no way we're going to be on time. And like you can bend time. There's like a technique, you feel the flow, you flow the time over your hands, and you bubble it in. And we would end up being like just barely on time, but it worked.
You can bend time.
Yep, it's like one of those things, bent and broken. That's a total illusion. Time is a measurement of distance traveled from point A to point B. Everything else around it is something you can manipulate. And so if you don't feel like you have enough time in the day, what would it take for you to shift your perception of time to have all the time you need in the day to do everything you would like to do?
That could be another topic. I don't know that we can talk about it for an hour, but bending time would be a good one, because how many people are in a rush all the time? I mean, like it catches me often, but bending time, and time is really, we've created time. We've created the clock. Time is not existent, really. We've created all these things.
A great passage in Neil Donald Walsh's work where it talks about all these arbitrary things we picked about time, space, and all this. And the way it puts it is just like so ludicrous that we have aligned and agreed with this concept of time. It's I got to find it and read it for the next one. And Mike, this is a really good thing to bring up. Distractor implants is an access concept. I don't remember them all, but it's like fear, anger, shame, hate. There's like 4 groups of 3 or 3 groups of 4, if I remember right. But these are all the things that distract us from really tapping into our own unique voice in this world. And so like whenever you find yourself with one of these really potent energies that distracts you because it puts you in a state of reaction, those are all the things where you take a step back and start asking, when have I felt like that before? And using Dr. K's little technique, all the times I've been angry, all the times I've been angry, all the times I've been angry, allow all that to come up, and then just have the willingness to let it go, let it flush. Or better yet, if you can't facilitate that for yourself, Dr. K and I, that's what we do. We help people get rid of a lot of that energetic gunk to be able to step into a different possibility. What? Mike, I don't understand your comment. What?
Well, talking about monkeys, we have what's called the monkey mind. The monkey mind jumps from branch to branch while you decipher Mike's comment.
I can't decipher Mike's comment. Mike, I need more. I don't.
What does it say? I can't see it here.
I'll put it up. Like maybe somebody can translate for us.
It says monkeys don't drink coconut water, only meat, even during a drought. Science. I think he's just maybe trying to make a scientific comment that
they only eat the flesh of the coconut. They don't drink the water even during a drought.
They have the innate. I'm understanding this as an innate understanding. Yes, they have an innate understanding to the meat provides maybe more hydration long term than the coconut water. That's what I'm
well, why not do both? I don't know. But yeah, that's just odd. I don't know. I don't know much about monkeys. Apparently.
Should bring a monkey on.
Well, and when I said only the meat, I didn't think of the flesh of the coconut. I went like meat. Like I didn't find it cohesive, so it really threw me. So I have to step into my awareness in order to translate Magic Mike's comment.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But so like just tools on dealing with the global chaos. Number one, I think gaining the awareness, because that's where it all has to start. If you are not at the point of awareness yet, and you're like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Like, this makes no sense. I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Trump needs to win. Biden needs to win. The world's gonna freaking fall apart. If Biden wins, we're doomed. I hear a lot of that. Maybe not. But gaining the awareness to pull yourself out of that frustration and out of that energy, that is step number one. And if you are not there, if you're like, well, it kind of makes sense, but how the hell do I do that? Contact one of us so we can have a greater conversation and get you some tools on that. Number two, then once you're at that space, set the intention. You can use one of Hank's tools. You can use my tool with the planet. It's super powerful. Number three, do some meditations. Whatever you can do to sit quietly for 10 to 15 minutes a day. That is not much on the timeline.
Even start with 5 minutes. If you don't have time for 10, 5. Every time you hit a red light in your car.
5 feels hard for people. Yeah. Then you'll never get through that.
Yeah, you'll get honked at people when they want to go because you were meditating at the red light.
I'm sorry, I was meditating.
I've done that before. I sat through an entire red light or green light rather, and yeah. I wasn't even drinking or anything. I was meditating.
So that's something else you can do. If you're feeling anxious, please comment so that we can help address whatever stressor you're having around this, so we can clear that for you. Whatever, we can use some processes even here to clear that up for you so you're not so strained about it. And then the other number four, I think what I'd say to address is, if this is triggering a point in you, if it's really bringing up a lot of charge, meaning you feel the tension inside you, that's what I call a charge, a reaction inside. If you're finding yourself really reacting and feeling that passion, that need to be right, that I got to make my point, what is inside you that needs that verification? Because somewhere that's tracked back to some event that you felt you needed to be validated. Usually it's tracked back to something, or it's an entity. What other word could we use for entity? I don't know how many people are on here that are open to this or are completely new and have this is completely a new.
Okay, they don't have to be open to it. I was looking for this question. Oh, well, but this one is close to what I was going to say. Like when you run into a thing like that, this is a question from Access that you could use to start shifting it. You put the question out to the universe, what could I be to create something different? And so instead of getting reactionary or aligning and agreeing with or resisting, reacting to whatever it is, what could I be, no matter who wins the presidency? What could I be to create something different, to create possibility and ease into my life? You throw that question to the universe, and then you look for what shows up in your life that matches that question. And it might take some practice, but if you start being in that type of question, you'll start noticing things that resonate with that question that you asked. And then it kind of is your guiding compass for what to choose that is going to create possibility and light and joy in your life. There was a better question.
And please comment if this is really foreign to you and you're like, I'm new complete to this. Can you explain a little more? We're happy to do that. But gaining a better understanding. So yeah, it's I just had a thought there and it slipped too. Man, that happens a lot.
Well, Magic Mike has a contribution. This is something everybody can do at red lights. There's a mantra: all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. So every time you have to stop at a stop sign or a red stoplight, take a moment, say this affirmation, and see what starts to shift in your world. And they define glory as the exuberant expression of life. So imagine, and that's one thing. Like if you're wishing from a lamp for the genie, have you ever seen where someone wishes for a ton of gold and it appears above their head and falls on them, right? Yeah. So the universe only understands the energy of words. So what if whatever you're looking to create in your life, you put in with ease? I love that. So what could I create with ease? And that's when the money will appear, but not crush you, right? So there's little things you can do to kind of guide the universe, and not just that something shows up, but with a little bit of how it shows up.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's these higher things that run, and a lot of people are not aware that you're creating so much with what you say, with what you think. And I try to break it down to people. Like sometimes you wake up in the morning, and it's happened to me. I'm like, oh crap, I'm late. The universe hears, oh crap, I'm late. And what will it bring you? It's happened to me numerous times. I get stuck behind some older lady driving 20 miles an hour it happens every time. And I'm like, "Ugh, I did it again."
Well, the
Um,
universe is just giving you what you wanted, and
which,
you were
yeah,
late.
it's a
Now
very
you're more
simple
late.
thing. But I also use this to get parking spots. The guides bring me a parking spot every time, so long as I set that intention out before I go.
You know,
It's there every
I
time.
we went to Pittsburgh last year, and if you know anything about Pittsburgh, parking is horrific. Like
Yeah.
driving is terrible,
Yes.
supposedly, right? So we go, and I was born in Pittsburgh, and I had this thought that wow, my place of emergence, where I was born in Pittsburgh, it is going to welcome me, and it's just going to be the easiest trip ever. I like threw that out to the universe. It was like my first time back since like kindergarten, right? And every place we went, even on a day where there was a game with the Steelers or whatnot, I found free street parking everywhere. I just pulled up. We never had to look for parking one time. And like, even my wife, she's like, I thought it was supposed to be hard to park here and drive around. And it's like, it's the easiest time. And it's a great example of like throwing out your intention and seeing how things show up in your life. I'm going to just have a time with ease. And I didn't even specify parking to the universe, but I just brought this whole ease of the trip. And so, what could I be today to bring ease and possibility in my life? Great question to start with, and just continue to build on it throughout the day.
Yeah, and you can use this with everything because I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I can use this to get a parking spot, you can use it for your health. You can
Yep.
use it to gain money. You can use it to just gain general ease through the day. You can use it for work. But what gets in the way? Because you're like, wait a minute, Dr. Krywiak, you said that this, and I tried it, and there's this gap between you saying it and the destination, and what's the meat in between? What's in the chunk in between? Resistance. This might not happen. Some energy blockages. There's some things that might need to be cleaned out, so that these things happen more easily with you and gaining awareness. So there's a piece about saying these things, but what are you thinking underneath it? It's not going to happen. That's
Right. There's
bullshit.
like
That's
the
not going to
root
happen.
belief. But another thing is this little saying in Access too, just for me, just for fun, never tell anyone. And to give an example, I had one client who was really excited to come see me. And then she shared with her family that she was going to go see Crazy Shaman Hank. And they're like, oh, that stuff is such a didn't have very kind things to say. And by the time she got to the office, she was so deflated that like she wasn't pumped for the experience or for the session or anything like that. And so sometimes when you're going to be doing something to create more in your life, really ask if you're going to share what you're looking to create. Will telling magic might be a contribution? Or will it take away from what I'm looking to create? So you also want to be mindful of who you're sharing your intention and your targets and goals with. Just for me, just for fun, never tell anyone unless you
Yeah.
know that it's going to be an energetic contribution to what you want to bring up. Because how many times as kids, well, don't set your expectations too
It's
high. You
too
don't want to be
high.
disappointed. Like what a terrible like I get it as a parent. Like you want to protect your children and everything, but what are we teaching? Like don't shoot for the moon. You're like set low expectations so you're never disappointed. Instead of you want to shoot for the moon, go for it. Because if you shoot for the star, if you shoot for the moon, even if you fail, you land amongst the stars. That's a famous quote. So like you just set your intentions and you go for it and don't care. You really have to be in the spot where someone says you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. That you're
But
going
what
to push through
happens?
and do it anyway. But a lot of us get discouraged with it. So unless you're really sound in your authenticity and your choice, it's really a good idea to be mindful about who you share your inspirations with.
Absolutely. Yeah, you
We
can
got a
hit the nail.
serious question from Mark. I don't even know how to deal with Mark when he's like serious. But are there certain foods and beverages that have a calming effect on the body? So we've been talking a lot about energy work. Is there things that people could do food wise, or like teas or things like that that would be a contribution to maintain peace and calm?
Yes. Chamomile tea is one of those things you can have at night that should calm you. Um, Obviously, caffeine is going to agitate. So
Oh man,
well,
I'm
you
kidding. I'm going to be
those that are
doing a
not at
cleanse, but
that
I'm going
state
to
of
have to.
awareness, yes. If you're at a state of awareness, then you can. I am so aware now, so acutely aware that when I have coffee and I feel that agitation rising, I know exactly where it's coming from and I can identify it. But some people are not yet at that level of awareness. So when you have coffee, yes, it riles you up, and then you find yourself more it will pour. If you're already agitated, it's pouring fire on the agitation, and it's taxing your adrenals like nothing else. So definitely staying away from coffee, using more calming things at night. People, The other thing people are really experiencing, we're getting off on tangents, but people right now at night I'm finding are quite agitated, and maybe we
Yeah.
can both speak on that. A lot of mind stuff going. When then they're like, it's not the coffee. The coffee is an agitator. It's sugar. That's the other thing. Sugar's going to tank you. So what happens when your sugar drops? That's the other thing that happens. When your sugar drops really low, really fast, or rises really high, really fast, that's going to create certain emotions for you. So be very aware an hour after you ate something, like, how am I feeling? These things are agitators to what you already have. So if you have a fire burning already that's kind of angry, and then you pour coffee on top of it, or you have high sugar, if you have high blood pressure and you pour salt on top of that, and salt is very important, by the way. People like, I have all these patients that are saying, I told not to eat salt. No, you need salt. It's a mineral. But eating processed foods, all these things have effects on the brain. I'm trying to think. Can't tell everybody to just go vegetarian, vegan, because that could be a really big jump. But doing
Yeah.
a cleanse, could be helpful, but not, again,
Yeah.
for the type of level of person you are. Like Hank can do a master cleanse and be decent with it. Some people that try to do that,
It's
that's
not
like too
fun.
big of a jump. It's too big of
Oh,
a jump.
even for me, it's a jump, but I do it. It's
Yeah,
intense.
so I'm trying to think, anything
Well,
else you can think of, Hank, food
well, the
wise
one
that
thing
you
I
could?
was thinking, pick anything, maybe water, maybe a lifesaver, like some sort of something you're going to use as an anchor. And whatever technique you want to use to get into a state of peace and calm, like Dr. K was talking about the energy flow, if you want to do something with sound, something with meditation, whatever the case is, right when you start to do it, like take 3 sips of water, take 3 deep breaths, eat a lifesaver or some other like low calorie type of thing. And what you're doing is you're setting an intention that it's going to be an anchor, just like Pavlov's dog. When they would bring the tuning fork, then feed the dog, they eventually got to the point they could bring the tuning fork, the dog would start salivating even if he wasn't fed, because he anchored that tone with that experience. So whatever anchor you want to set for yourself, pick a food or a tea or something that you can, like water would be easy because you can always drink water. 3 sips of water before I meditate. And now you're having a rough day, 3 sips of water, it automatically starts to bring you back to that state. So that could be a little trick to help the physiology and the emotional body of your body and being to slip into those states when you're really needing it. I used 3 deep breaths when I would meditate. And then when I was on the phone at the bank and dealing with Hurricane Katrina victims and all kinds of like really terrible situations where people were running into financial stress, 3 deep breaths, and I was right back into my peace and calm and continued on. So that would be a great little trick. Any food you want to program as an anchor, you could do that. Now, that's not an
Yeah,
excuse if you use Cheetos, Mark. I'm looking at you. If you use Cheetos, Mark, it's
calling
not
him
like
out.
I am peace and calm. I am peace and calm. No, no, no. That's not the type of thing. But really, anchors could be a wonderful thing to incorporate to get that balance throughout the day when you need a little extra oomph to get
That's
there
what I
and
was going to
whatnot.
say. It's not a Snickers bar, guys. We're not advocating you go get a candy bar and using that as an anchor, or ice cream or anything, something very small. The mind is a very powerful thing. And believe it or not, you have control over your thoughts. You really do. Now, this is going to take practice. Your mind is like a muscle, it needs building to the point that you have the awareness is where you need to start controlling your thoughts. And your thoughts appear your brain, and your thoughts direct what's going on in your body biochemically. It's fascinating. So Doritos,
Yeah,
no.
Jordan's
Oh my
no,
gosh.
Mark, no.
Where's
That's
the
why I, even,
baseball bat?
I was going to say like lifesavers. Like, but that's what my dad did when he quit smoking cold turkey. When they were having me, he just quit cold turkey cigarettes, and every time he had a craving, he had a lifesaver med. I didn't find that out till years later. Like he would always have them and offer me one when he had them, and now I realized that he was using that as an anchor to choose something different because he was making a conscious choice not to smoke because there was a child around and all that, that was his anchor and the thing that brought him back to making a different choice. So whatever you want to do, but also think what's the healthiest choice I could make. If you're using water, if you're using a tea, Doritos, Cheetos,
Not so much.
not so much. But we have Angela chiming in, just saying,
Oh,
"My
she's my
friends, I
best
love
friend.
you."
She's great.
And she was saying like relative juicing cleanses are so healthy, and she's starting one today. So
Yes.
like, and different cleanses, everybody's bodies and things are different. And if you're really looking to do a cleanse, I couldn't recommend enough. Like schedule a thing with Dr. K, get hooked up, see what's going on, because there's so many different cleanses that might be good for different things depending what's going on with you, because her machine like pulls out like what toxins there are and things like that. So besides just stress, that's a great way to see what would be really a contribution to my body to get me on track with where I need to be, because maybe it's this cleanse or fast, maybe it's a different one that would be the greatest contribution. Her little machine can be all sneaky and tell you all those things.
It's a lot of information. People get overwhelmed. But that and heavy meals. So sugar will jump you up and down. So, you know, if you've ever been hypoglycemic, meaning your sugar's felt low, you feel shaky. Hypotension can do this too. So if your blood pressure drops too low, could be because of salt. One reason, you drop too low, you start feeling weak, shaky, anxiety. So so if you already have anxiety, doing, you know, eating some of these things, the sugar, no salt, things like that, it's going to drop you even lower. And then it's another agitator, the coffee, another agitator, processed food, it's another agitator, you know, pesticides, these are another agitators to what is already going on. So it makes it a little more tricky to move and navigate. Heavy meals, like if you sit down and have a steak and a baked potato, steak and pasta, a big ribeye, you know, these sorts of things are heavy. These will pull you down, make you more sluggish. So I'm not saying it's a big jump for somebody to do a cleanse. Like I told Hank a couple of days, 2 weeks ago, I decided to do a 3-day just vegetables, no meat, because I eat a lot of meat because of my bodybuilding. I kind of have to. But for 3 days, I actually took the week off because I was back and forth to Michigan. And I'm like, this is a good time. I felt lighter. My stomach got flatter. All I ate was vegetables, but I will tell you, I did feel a little bit weaker because my body was very used to getting a certain amount of protein. And that's a little challenging for somebody to make that jump when they're used to eating protein 6 times a day to all vegetables and a little bit of potato. So that's a bit of a jump for somebody that's not super aware. So I would just say eat on the lighter side, eat salads, eat some fish. If you know, eat lighter foods and not something so super heavy that pulls you down or that drops your sugar up and down. So having like a bunch of candy bars, and you know, I have people that live on candy bars and like the you know, fruity drinks, whatever you get from the gas station. Those things are going to create more anxiety for you, and so will coffee. I'm sorry, guys.
That's
I'm
all
at
right.
the point I can go without. I can go through my day with or without coffee. I like the taste of a coffee, but I can go with or without it. And I'm at the point of pretty strong awareness that I know when I tank because of it. But some people are not quite there yet. So we need gentler steps. And
Well, I
yes, a
would
lot
cut
of
back on my
veggies.
coffee if coca tea was legal here. Then I wouldn't drink so much coffee. But that's all right.
Someday.
I just posted a comment just yesterday. I made a video for a client, but I kept it really general, and it's walking through an exercise called the thymus exercise. It's an access process,
Excellent.
but they say that the thymus is the seat of the soul. And one thing that would
Yes.
be a great contribution for you being less stressed and choosing which foods are going to be a contribution for whatever you like to create in your life would be to the being and the body are in communion, because they are two separate things. The being is separate than the body. The body is something you have, like Dr. K mentioned earlier. It's like the meat suit or the puppet or whatever, and the being is controlling it, the soul is controlling it, the body is separate. So having a communion and a creationship with the body can go a long way. And that comment that I just posted, this is a YouTube link, it's on my YouTube channel. But if you want to go and check that out, it's like a little 6-minute exercise. And towards the end, I do a couple clearings, which are things that help identify an energy and get rid of limitations. So it's a good little 6-minute listen if you want to go check it out and see what your experience is with that. And let's see.
Yeah, the
Angela
thymus
was saying,
is.
I'd like an appointment with you, Dr. K.
She knows she could always get an appointment. The thymus is, you know, doctors dismiss the thymus all the time. The
Yeah.
thymus is actually quite large when we're little, but it doesn't grow. We grow around it. But it is so important for the immune system. It is still producing cells for the immune system. I'll
Yeah,
put it
they say
simply.
that it atrophies in puberty, but
It does
there's
not.
people, the part of that could be fluoride or whatever.
Oh,
I don't
well,
know
yeah,
all the science around
chemicals.
that. But
But
the thymus exercise can actually help reactivate that. Of course, this statement has not been evaluated by the FDA. I'm not claiming
yeah,
to treat, diagnose, and cure any disease.
yeah. Thanks
However,
for the disclaimer.
However, running that particular energy through the thymus helps to energetically help you. We'll just leave it at that. But it really is great. They say that's the seat of the soul. When you look at
It
those
is.
old paintings with
Yes.
like Christ with this beam of light coming out, it's not at the heart, it's at the thymus.
Yeah. So it's behind your heart. It's located behind your heart. It is still there. It is affected by different chemicals and nonsense that we all take in right now, but tapping it and helping it. I did this exercise too, a while back with COVID, and on your tapping your adrenals too to stimulate them. Really simple. And Angela did comment, workouts can replace workouts. That's the
Yep.
other thing I want to comment. Workouts are excellent. There are 17,000 entries in PubMed, which is a database that us doctors use for different studies to find out what's what. 17,000 different entries on bringing down blood sugar just with workouts. The other thing workouts do, they pull, we have negative energy, it dispels faster because it's brought to the surface when we are working out, so we can dispel it faster. So workouts have so many different great benefits
Right.
to help
Especially
you
if you're
calm
doing a
down.
cleanse, because you're like, if you're doing energy work and you're doing a cleanse and you're intending to get rid of all this energetic gunk from your field, like working out is helping that cellular member to release to get things moving through the system. Like that's one reason on the master cleanse it has like cayenne pepper that increases circulation. You do a saltwater flush to get things out, but combining it with a little bit of cardio can go a long way. I'm lecturing myself because I'm about to start one, and like I never have done cardio on it, but I really ought to. It's going to be a
I can
great
help you with that.
contribution. I know. I need like an accountability partner because like exercise sounds all good, and then you start you're like I don't like this. But if you do it,
Uh-huh.
if you just do it till you get that tipping point, then it doesn't become a burden anymore. It really is something that the body enjoys. Working out and exercise is meditation for the body. And so if you're going to meditate for the soul, start bringing the body along with it, because there's something to be said that the higher energy that you tap into, the Waldo, this meat suit, puppet, whatever you want to call it, if you're not taking care of it, how is it going to hang with this higher vibration energy? So you want to bring the body with the being and work on the whole self, not just one part of it.
Absolutely. So when you meditate, that's the other point I wanted to bring up that I was getting. When you meditate, do a little bit of exercise before that, meaning a few jumping jacks. You can jump up and down a little bit, run in place for a few seconds to get that body energized so that when the energy comes through, it doesn't get stuck anywhere. It can go through, flow, and flush out those negative emotions for you. And then do a few jumping jacks, run in place for a few seconds afterwards. So you
Ooh,
keep the energy moving.
that brings up hikes. Hikes is a
Oh,
double thing. Not only are you getting out and
yes.
exercising, but as a shaman, as a Paco, like being in nature has this incredibly balancing effect. And so go for walks, go along the beach, whatever you're drawn to, and just that walk, being in nature, helps to do things energetically as well. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. Not that you'd want to kill a bird, but you get the point.
Yes. Nature is so grounding. We talked about that way back when COVID started. I'm like, get out in nature. If you're feeling really anxious, it does it for you. All you need to find is that lovely forest right behind Hank, something like that. Go pop a
Yeah.
squat and sit there on a rock for a little while or
Yep.
hug a tree. Hugging a tree. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it is
Oh, it's
so,
amazing.
it's amazing. It really is. If you're feeling down, if you're crying, if you're feeling sad, if nobody's there for you, and you just can't reach out to anybody or us, go hug a tree. Go in the forest like there where nobody sees you and go freaking hug a tree. It is
Yeah.
amazing. It
And one
really
thing,
is.
an exercise you can take away from the Paco tradition of Peru is when you hug the tree, make sure your navel is right up against the tree, and
Mhm.
all the heaviness in
Mm.
you, just feed it to the tree, allow it to drain out of you, feed it through that energetic umbilicus from you to the tree, and recognize that in shamanism, we believe that trees, they are these bridge between worlds. They represent going into the Uhupachi, the underworld with the roots, the trees pulling in the light of the upper world to create something different. And then they're also part of the middle world. So you're able to feed all that heaviness deep into the underworld. And we say that for Mother Earth, all that heaviness, it's like chocolate. She loves it. Like our heaviness is light for something else, and she will use that to cultivate blessings for you and give something back. So you can look at giving this heaviness, this beautiful gift to the earth to help bring blessings back for you. And say thank you to the tree. If you want a little Quechua, like Iari, Mauki Kuna, Nike, 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 which would be victory and praises, trees. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that likes a little, but say it in English too. That's fine. But I wanted to throw a little Quechua in this because I love it.
It's so fun to say.
Or talk about nature, so it's like I got to throw a little bit of Paco stuff in there.
But
Mauki
yeah,
Kuna, opli, opli, opli.
I love saying that. It's just so much fun to say. I catch myself saying it. I'm like, oh, this is fun. It's fun to say.
Oh,
So
and if you type it, I think Mike found this out. He clicked we have a shaman group, and someone was typing ompwe ompwe ompwe, and it said C translation. So like it was recognizing it from some language. I don't know if it was Quechua, but you saw when you said C translation, it was like give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. So funny. Which in a way, it's spiritually, it is kind of like that. You're calling it a spirit, and you're like, give me the energy, give me your blessing, give me your healing. Merely means come here, but or heal what the soul's already healed, depending on the term. But anyway, I'm digressing. I could talk about shamanism all day. So, well,
it's
maybe we should have
awesome
a
stuff.
whole episode just on shamanism. We'll
We
see.
could, we could. Could just have fun. So, all in all, if you want to feel at peace, number one, like we talked about, number one, just starting to work on gaining more awareness so you can pull yourself out of these situations. Number two, and number three, I think was meditation. I forget what number two was now. Go back and reread it.
Gotta go hit the replay.
Replay. Number three is number two was sending, just the second you start blessing the planet, and it takes a few seconds to do, you're already running some of that energy. Number three, doing some meditation, 5 minutes. Don't focus on the problem, just focus on bringing more light into you, exercise, watching your diet. How hard and how important is it for you to prove your point to somebody? And I think a little side note is, how much do we want to talk about entities? But there is a side world, around us, parallel to us, that feeds off of these anger energies. So if you're finding yourself creating these thought forms, what would be a good question? Should we have them ask, like, is this mine? Because you're picking up on other people's stuff too.
Yeah.
So when my clients were
Who
asking
does
all
this
week, is there
belong to?
something in the air? Does this belong to me? Who does this belong to? And you should get a little bit of an answer. Is this yours? Did you create this? Maybe it's a small yes, but it could be all the stuff you just tuned into when you turned on the TV at 6 a.m. when you got up. Don't do that. Don't start your day like that. That's the other
Because
thing.
surprise
Don't
for
watch TV.
everybody is an empath to some degree. Like some people are just tuned in more than others. Everybody has a receiver in their system. Just some of us pick up AM, FM. Some of us pick up AM, FM broadband, some infrared. Like you're depending on how much you develop that muscle, you pick up a wider range of things. But everybody has it. So really stop and ask, who does this belong to? Is it mine? And a lot of times it's not, because you are aware of somebody else's emotion, thought, feeling, consideration, judgment, conclusion, definition around something. And then once you recognize it is not yours, then you return to sender with consciousness. No zing, no hey, asshole, you're throwing this out in the world. And it's like, return to sender with consciousness and just leave it very neutral. And then you free yourself. And there's even an app on Android and Apple that you can download called Who Does This Belong To? And it sets off this little chime reminder. You can set it off to go frequently. You can set it off to go like very sparsely, depending. But throughout your day, your phone will just go ding. And that's your cue to whatever you're feeling in that moment. Who does this belong to? And if you really focus on that for 3 days, you start to differentiate what's yours. You'll find that 90+% of everything that you're aware of isn't yours anyway.
Yeah.
And how freeing is that you can be aware of something and then not have to
people don't even know
react from it.
They don't even know. So yeah, like another thing is when emotions happen to me sometimes, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I'm not a depressed person. Why is this happening? Sometimes we live with people, and that's the challenge too. Like I had a client, she's like, I think my husband's taking my energy. So I mentally put a blanket around myself. I'm like, people really can't take your energy. They can drain you because you allow yourself to give give too much, but when you're around people that are negative all day long, it's a bit of a challenge that you really have to double down and clean, and see us too, to maybe like periodically get a cleaning to wash that windshield of yours. But if it doesn't make sense to you, if your feelings don't make sense, celery juice
I love that.
time.
Oh no, I was saying I like the analogy of your like windshield cleaning.
Mike posted celery juice time. Like, okay, Mike, have your celery. He's drinking celery juice for detox.
Oh, he just did that last night. He had like this little thing with a whole bunch of celery, and I didn't realize, but it was like a pocket blender type thing. And then he just pushed a button, instant celery juice. So like that's a great thing actually that just came up. Like it doesn't have to be hard, like there's things where we're living in a great time to be alive, where a lot of these things where we could be a contribution to ourselves and to our bodies, technology and Amazon, it makes it super easy to get whatever you think you need to achieve whatever you like to achieve. There's no excuses of not doing it, right?
There isn't. But yeah, if the energy doesn't make sense to you, if the feelings you're feeling don't make sense to you, very likely it's not yours. Or you're like, why am I feeling this way? It could be two different things. We are undergoing a lot of stuff right now, but a lot of it is also the emotional nonsense that's going on with everybody else. So if you're finding yourself angry and you're like, why am I angry today? Why am I grumpy? Doesn't make
Is it
any
yours?
sense. It's probably not yours, or your soul went somewhere at night and picked some crap up from somewhere. Because this is the other thing, guys. At night, when we sleep, our body's laying there, our soul's going somewhere. It's either going to be of service to somebody or it's going to learn something. We are just like hanging on by that thread, like a tooth, that's ready to fall out. It's hanging on. We hang on by that little bit of energy, but our soul goes somewhere. So when you're looking at somebody that's sleeping, they're kind of halfway not there. Their soul is gone. So our soul goes and picks up crap, but we pick crap up during the day from other people. Our windshield gets mucky. So it's really important to clean that up. So we should probably tell everybody about Monday to remind everybody on Monday, we are doing these really quick sessions to clean, not not a full hour session and cleaning all of your chakras up, but cleaning a little bit of that windshield so it's a little brighter and clearer for
Yep.
you and you have some more clarity and you can
And
navigate better.
I posted in the comments. It didn't go to all the places for some reason. I got an error message, but in most of the places we're streaming, I posted a comment where you can click over to schedule that. But here's the link to it's on my website, and it's going to be on a new site very soon. I'm just still finishing up a new website for the center, so eventually we'll be directing you back there. But right now it's on my site. I think Dr. K has it too, and it's like a 15-minute session where we both work on you at the same time. And I do a lot of sound work and sometimes some shamanism. Dr. K is doing some product, but really we go on whatever our knowing is. So each session could be different for everybody and go different directions. So, but it's a wonderful opportunity. 15 minutes, get cleaned up, and see what new possibilities. And I know some of the slots are already filling up. So if you are interested, please book. And we will see you on Monday.
Yeah.
And
And what
Mark
do
is
they
saying
do?
their clinics are super awesome. Highly recommended. Yes.
Yeah. And if you want to just, we're asking that you schedule just because of this whole COVID thing. And people do, we try to give everybody privacy because sometimes people want to discuss something that's irking them. We try to pull some of these things up so we can clean them up for you. And so, we don't want 500 people sitting and listening to everybody's issues. So, having one person at a time is just, we ask that for courtesy. Even if you do schedule, you come around that time, that's fine too. If you book for 7 o'clock, you come 7:15, you come 6:45, that's okay. Just so we have a ballpark of not 100 people coming at 7 o'clock and everybody's
Yeah,
waiting.
which has happened with one of the other things that we did. It was like a clown car. 7 o'clock hit, and the door opened. They were all waiting outside, like outside the building. They were all waiting till 7, and then they just all came in, and it was like 22 people just walked through the door, and we have 6 practitioners. So it is nice when you do schedule. We can plan appropriately and all that jazz. So please. Do a kindness to you and schedule one and see what your experience is. Anything else? And we were all over the place today. I love it. We had so
Yeah,
much
we
good
kind
stuff
of digressed,
come
but
through. That's all right. And Angela's even recognizing
Doritos.
she has an issue with Doritos. Yep, she knows it. I didn't even bring up that thing when I had said now Cheetos. He was like, "Oh, maybe Doritos." No, 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 we're not talking about
I
that.
love
But now,
Doritos. I
this
used to
is a
eat
good thing.
them like
Oh no,
nothing.
that's
Yeah.
not the one I wanted. He was saying that he could do celery juice and Captain Crunch. Well, if you did that instead of milk, that would be a step in the right direction. But if you could just do the celery juice, that would be even better.
Celery juice is great, guys, and I do recommend that you just buy a juicer, do it the old-fashioned way, and get straight up celery juice from, organic celery if you can grab that. And Walmart sells it, so don't. People are like, well, that's really expensive. No, Walmart, all these guys, these all places, are selling organic produce now at a much cheaper price point. So, and there was a saying somewhere, where did I read this? What you're paying, like, what is your health worth? I think actually
Yeah.
Dr. Hyman mentioned that what is the cost of your produce and things now versus down the road when you're sick and you're paying a lot of money because you didn't correct a situation now and you end up in the hospital because you need a kidney transplant because you have whatever now conditions, fibromyalgia, diabetes, all these things that are popping up, and your insulin's out the door costing you a fortune because you didn't correct it. And we can still go back and correct it, but why not just start now and just clean some stuff up now, or wherever you are at now. Let's start repairing it so you're paying less down the road, because we don't
Yeah.
think about that. We don't think about well, it's really expensive right now and you're really expensive, but yeah, but you're going to pay like 50,000 when you have to have that surgery, and your insurance may not cover all of it. or you have to see the doctor weekly because you have a wound and that's costing you, and you have balances that you have to pay. Let's just take care of your body now. It's in the long run, it's really way less expensive to handle it now versus down the road.
Oh,
So
oh yeah, this is a great point. Listen, don't spend more money in your car than you do your own body. That is, and that's one of my, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I will keep that to myself because if a client's watching, I don't want to, what one thing I normally say when certain things come up, I don't want them to say, he told me that. So I'm going to leave that alone, what I was about to say.
I don't
But
know about the car, because I have a little thing to pick with that, because how much time do you spend in your car in your lifetime? A lot. So that's one thing I
well, it's
do
not about
like.
spending. It's like, do you take better care of your car than you do your body?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
I
like,
know there's
regardless of
people
how
that do
much
that.
money is spent, do you get your oil changes when you should? Are you getting the maintenances when you should? Well, a lot of us are, and we go and do all the things we're supposed to do for our car. But when it comes to our own body, our checkups, or getting a panel done to see where we're out of whack, it's just we don't bother to check in with it.
And
So
small steps, guys, small steps. If you're not everybody's ready to make that huge jump. Some people are. I have clients that are. They're all into it now, ready to go. Some have to take it a little slower. Let's just start with a glass of lemon water in the morning to get your bile moving and get your body moving. Let's just start with a glass of water, period, before you start coffee. The ending point too, I want to say, guys, don't wake up in the morning and turn on the freaking TV to see what CNN has to say. Please don't do that. When
yeah,
that happens, you are automatically into somebody else's energy. You are taking on all their stuff. Please don't do that.
I
Spend
don't even have
5
TV.
minutes. I don't
I do
watch
have
TV,
Netflix
but
though.
um,
And a final.
spend. Go
Oh, go
ahead.
ahead. But
Getting all
Mike brought up the
passionate.
question that I was saying. Another great thing, like when you find yourself judging something in the world, is you say, "What's right about this? I'm not getting." That's another thing where you find yourself in judgment. To find that piece of gratitude, you might ask a question like that, and then see what awareness comes to you, where you might be able to step into a space of gratitude with whoever you are in disagreement with. So that's a
Yeah.
fun one too.
Why get up in the morning and turn on the TV and get all riled up and get your blood pressure up and start getting into that need to be right? So your day is now full of frustration, and you're carrying that through your day. Get up in the morning and spend 5 minutes in meditation, 10 minutes, whatever you can do, in some affirmations like we posted here. Guys, 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Start with 5 minutes of peace, some lemon water, some warm lemon water, maybe a little bit of honey. That's great to get the bile moving, or
Some
celery
decaf coffee,
juice.
maybe
No,
decaf coffee.
water
No,
first, water first, then your decaf
water
coffee.
first. Okay.
Water first, because your nerves have been dehydrated for 8, 9, 10 hours, however long you've slept. They've had no water. Water is important. Start with the water, then go to your coffee if you have to.
That is something I personally need to get better at. I don't drink nearly enough water, so I will
Ooh,
start doing that tomorrow.
okay,
Well,
good.
whenever I cleanse, I do. Like for every glass of cleanse juice I drink one glass of water too. So like I do it like double duty when I do it. So I'm going to be starting soon. Maybe we'll see.
Oh,
It's so hard once you
well,
start though. It's so good after the third day, and you feel so much energy and very alert, and just seeing things differently. It's super fun.
got to
So
get over the hump.
that first
Maybe
3 days
next
is always
time
grueling.
we can give some people some tips and tools and some cleanses. I don't know. It's a
Sure,
thought.
we can do
Maybe
that.
for those of you that are ready to start, want to start, this sounds interesting. We'll give you some small steps, and if you're ready to jump for the big one, then Hank can give you some big ones to do, you know.
Yeah, well, the master cleanse is no joke, and I always tell people before you choose it, like just check in with your doctor, make sure. They'll probably tell you not to do it, but but I like to give the disclaimer, like always check with your medical professional because it is extreme. You're not eating. The longest I've gone was like 40 days with no actual food intake and just drinking
Wow.
this juice every day, and so it can be very very intense, especially the saltwater flush. Nobody likes that part, but
I have a
it's good.
10-day that I can recommend that's a little lighter,
Yeah,
but or
well,
just some
that's you
shakes.
can do it for 10 days. They say minimum of 10 and on upward. I felt like doing 40 one year, and
Wow.
it was
Great. Wow.
yeah.
It's
But
amazing.
if I do a long one like that, it will be the first one since I've been vegan that I've done. So get rid of all the other toxins that my body built up. So yeah.
Yeah. So
All right.
just don't turn on the TV. And that's my biggest, and go back, re-listen to some of the other points, spend some time in the morning.
Yeah, instead of TV, watch our podcast. Like you can go back and watch all the episodes, and that would be a much greater contribution, hopefully, than watching the news. All right. But thank
Okay.
you all for tuning in, and we hope to see you at the clinic next Monday. Like I said, thanks for another awesome presentation. You're very welcome. And I think we had one other person that's saying thanks, but I can't scroll back far enough. But anyway, but thank you all for being here, and we will catch you next Friday if you're not there at the clinic. If not sooner, you never know. Maybe we'll pop on and do something different here. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.